At the time, we didn't realize what we were doing, really. We just kept one foot in front of the other. I worked 38 state area during those 6 years. You have to put in time if you're going to be successful. I didn't realize when I joined Marv that we would ever be to where we are now. Marv, he was an inventor. He was a real genius. He went to the valley from there and bought a citrus grove because our uncle Joe Bowen was down there, and we saw those big citrus balls, orange and grape fruit. And so anyhow, 6 months later, everything froze spongy. And so he and his wife, 2 girls and Bill, got in their station wagon and started driving over Texas, looking for a place to stop, and it was Mount Pleasant. I've been around so many towns. I joined him in '66. He already had 11 dealers, feed store and 2 or 3. And he came to my shop one day. I had a lawn and garden dealership doing real good. I had a mechanic and so forth. And he showed me his product. It was on the back of his truck, old black Chevrolet pickup. And he said, I want you to, after he explained it to me, first he said, I want to show you something. So we went out to his truck and I said, what's that? That's how smart I am. He said, that's a chute gate for holding, and he told me about it. So anyhow, he said, I want you to help me sell them. He says, I've kind of got the ball rolling now. And he said, but my sales help. When they make money, they get drunk, and then they don't show up for work. And he said, I have another guy, he's just a wonderful salesman. The more money he makes, the more he chases skirts. And he said, it just doesn't work out, Corbin. He said, I want somebody that's dependable. And he grabbed my shirt and he said, I want you to help me. And I said, you leave me alone. So I sent him home. And about a month later, here he was again, same thing. And I sent him home. He even took me to Wyatt's, bought my lunch that evening, dinner, whatever. Showed me several big bills in his billfold. On purpose, he didn't need to. But he wanted me to see when he would. He was quite a salesman. In fact, he told me one time, commented to me, he said, Corb, he said, don't forget, people like to have you repeat what they said. You can pick it up and then just, casually bring it back into the conversation, and you're saying just what he said to you to begin with. And I thought about that, and it worked. So, anyhow, the third time, Marv decided he and Johnny came to I had the shop behind my house, and a 3-car garage is what I was working out of. He took me in the kitchen, and he said, let's get out of here. And he and Johnny sat at the table, our kitchenette, and they sold me on the idea of selling my home, my business. My wife was bringing a fancy check home at the end of each month and everything, and moved to Mount Pleasant, Texas. Huh? Marv saw that I wasn't going to budge. And so he said, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you equal partnership to me. After I gave Bill 5%. of the company. Okay? And I thought about it a little bit, and I said, okay. And so that was it. That was our beginning. Well, Marv was helping a neighbor with a animal, and whatever they were using, an old wooden head gate of some kind, one of the guys said to the other, surely somebody can make something better than this. And within a week, Marv had something kind of halfway going. Not intentionally, but he had gone home and started kicking around the old shed up there, the original, and came up with the first walk-through, front exit walk-through chute gate for holding cattle, working beef cattle. And almost immediately, I started out with that same old pickup truck and that chute gate in the back. And the first dealership was in Henderson, over here at a feed store, mill, the long dock. The 2 or 3 different guys listened to what we had to say, and they became our first dealer. A result of my efforts, I mean. And then from there on, we placed 3 dealers a day, 5.5 days a week for 6 years. I worked 38 state area during those 6 years. And I drove around 300,000 miles plus during that time. I used 3 different cars. The first one was a green Mustang. It was in '66, I think, October, and we bought a '67 Mustang. I put $24,500 on that, and my chiropractor said, "You've got to have a heavier car, Corbin." So I built up a little nerve and commented to Marvin one day, and he said, "Okay." So next morning we got in my green Mustang and started for Dallas. We were over there about halfway between here and Dallas, and Marv turned to me and said, "Brother," he said, "are you sure that this isn't just because you want a new car?" And I said, "Man, Marv, look, this thing is, this road is perfect, and it just rides perfect, yes. But when you get on the rough roads and traveling, and there's no cushion set on in this car, it's pretty thin. I need more comfort and on the road." He said, "Okay." So we traded it for a Belvedere Plymouth. That was a 1968 Plymouth, and it really rode nice. I put 87,000 on that, and one day in northern Colorado, I was supposed to take a road to the left, but I took what looked like the best to the right, and I hit a road block. And it was pretty solid. And that front left fender, it was all I could do to get out and straighten it out by pulling on it and so forth. And anyhow, I got the car home, and so we traded it up here at the Chrysler place for a long 2-door 1969. If you have a picture of something like that now, you realize almost a battleship. But I put 119,000 on that. But I mean, if anybody ever deserved it, I mean, he worked hard enough trying to make this and that and put it together. He'd go to the scrap yards, you know, in any town where we'd be. If they had one, he'd go out there. He'd spend time in the scrap yard, buy this old generator or battery or mower, or if he could see any value in it, and he'd take it home and either overhaul it or convert it into something else. He extended the frame underneath that Ford Mustang to extend out about 12 inches. And then he set the chute gate on that and said, "Okay, go show it, brother." And so that's what we did. One time in Oklahoma, I put my head through, this was when I still was driving the pickup truck. I got up there to demonstrate, and I was behind it, so I put my head through there and pulled the handle down, and then I couldn't reach the latch. And I thought I was going to die right there. I couldn't get out. Some of them laughed pretty hard about that. Well, we'd drive into a town, but we'd start looking around, and the first service station that we would see, we'd pull in and inquire, where is your veterinarian here in town? And they would tell me, and sometimes I'd draw a sketch on my hand so I wouldn't get lost, and we just go right to it. And I'd back up to the guy's door so that he'd be close to his door wherever he's going to make exit. But one day, this guy was really on the go, in a hurry. So I was available when he got behind his counter, and I said, "Sir, got something for you." I grabbed him by the hand. I said, "Come on, I want to show you." And we got halfway out, and he said, "What you going to do, whip me?" You know, it was a situation where I felt like I just had to get him out there now, because he's going to be gone in about 40 seconds. Well, anyhow, he became our dealer. But this red tablecloth would cover everything, and our order book was laying there, and my hat was laying over there, and it was a nice display. And so I'd explain to him what this mechanism is, and I'd show him 3 different names. Of course, I could call them Tom, Dick, and Harry back down the road. "Oh, yeah, I know them." I'd show this prospective dealer their names where they'd signed an order for 3, and he'd say, "Oh, I can do that." Or sometimes he'd say, "What do you want me to do?" And I'd say, "We want you to be our dealer. And you're supposed to let your farm trade, your cattlemen, know about our product. They all need it because it'll save your time when you get out there, instead of the animal being and they can't catch him. Well, they'll have him in the chute probably, maybe his head through the chute gate. And all you have to do and pretty soon you're gone. So you charge less, you see more customers, and the farmer doesn't spend so much. This is only $67.50. And he said, "Yeah, send me 3. There was nothing to it. It was fun, really fun. I never will forget, I was in Montana, and I'd set this guy up as a dealer, and then I said, "And sir, we've got a new product that I haven't told you about. Come here." We go around the front of the car, and I show him the towing guard. And after we unfolded it, extended it out, laid the tongue out there, this one man, he'd already became our dealer for the head gate. He backed up about a foot or 2, and he set his heel on the ground. He said, "That's just slicker than a bucket of snot." At the time, Jeff, we didn't realize what we were doing, really. We just kept one foot in front of the other. I remember each time I'd get home from a trip, Bill would be the first one to come running out of the plant and grab the door and touch me on the shoulder. "Did you have a good trip, Uncle Corbin?" "Uncle Coke," he'd call me. And I said, "Oh, yes." And it was true, we always did. Before I'd leave, Brother Marv would say, "May the good Lord bless you and keep you and bring you home safely." And so he always gave credit to Jesus, to the Lord, for any success that we accomplished, anything, everything. It's all. Marv said to me one evening, I think it was a social of some kind, once in a while, to begin with. We'd have a little social and help employees and everybody get acquainted a little better. I guess it happened about 3 times a year. And one evening at Marv's house, Johnny could always make a good meal. And he was sitting there like I am right now, and he looked at me and he said, "Corb, do you realize we're feeding 12 families?" And so that's the way it grew, so to speak. We didn't know what to do. We just done what come naturally. There is satisfaction when I think about that. And immediately I think about what Marv went through from the beginning, so to speak. See, Johnny, she had to make ends meet by doing people's hair. She had a beauty salon in her house. That's how far. Marv Scratch started out. He'd go to up here and buy enough pipes to make 2 or 3 chute gates and bring them home and put that stuff together and paint it, dip it. He fixed a vat, and he'd pull it up out of there and it'd be dripping, and we'd slide it across the floor. And anyhow, and that's kind of the way this grew at first. Just do this and do that. And I didn't realize when I joined Marv that we would ever be to where we are now. 637 employees. There on the table, side by side, the Holy Bible and the TV guide. One is well worn and cherished with pride. No, not the Bible, the TV guide. They turn through the pages. What should they see? What does it matter? Turn on the TV. And that's what's wrong with our country nowadays, I think.
So you had the red cloth over the back of the stuff. The guy would come out?
Thank you. Age is a matter of mind. If you don't mind, it don't matter. Or does it? Thank you, Jeff. Yeah. I didn't get to be with Bill all that much. I remember his dad made a little Caterpillar, he fixed some tires, made a track of 2 tires, one on each side, and they stretched them on these wheels and put a deal on there, and he had a little Caterpillar. It would maneuver, and then he improved it later. You guys may have seen a copy of it later, but anyhow, Bill was so appreciative of something like that. He would just, I can see him yet, he's just waiting, because he knew it was for him. His dad was making it especially for me, and he did appreciate it more than the average person, kiddo, does. He'd take care of things, and he was sharp to listen and pay attention, and he never caused any trouble. He was always kind to everybody and generous. Wonderful individual.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He takes after his folks and the Lord Jesus. He's amazing.